Welcome back, everyone, to Grow Your Impact, Income, and Influence, the #1 show online for helping you reach millions of people. Today, we have an agency owner, but I hesitate to call it an agency because it's actually business development. It goes way beyond just getting you leads, showing you how to close those leads, showing you how to grow your business, something that I think everybody needs. It's something that, honestly, when I had my agency, I didn't do very well at, which is why I shut down the agency. I am super excited to share with you today. Eric Rebelo, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. And you are in sunny California. We're here in Austin. It's cold today. People are getting snow. You're living the dream life, right? You got the beach outside, I hope.
As far as that goes right now, a little too cold to enjoy the beach, but I am looking forward to March when it comes around and I can get back because the beach is probably one of my favorite areas. I'm more of a city kind of beach person rather than kind of like farmhouse in the middle of the woods. So I can't wait for it to get a little sunnier again.
Nice. So Eric, you started your agency a little over 4 years ago. Take us back to like, how does one get good at websites and ads and closing and all the things that you're doing for business development? Because I think, especially in today's marketplace, everyone has heard like, I'm an agency, I can get you a ton of leads, but we need to know why we can trust you. So like, tell us, where did you come from? How did you get to where you are?
Yeah. So I have a kind of a similar background. I feel like a lot of people in my generation, where I was on the path to go to college, to get a job. The major that I was pursuing was kind of computer science, computer information systems. I was in that area. And then I just kind of figured out that my personality isn't that level of like kind of engineering. Like I am pretty technical and analytical, but I've always kind of found myself in the middle between creative and kind of like analytical and logical and technical. And I was like, okay, let me change my major to something that's maybe a little bit more in the middle. So I just basically fell onto business, and I was like, okay, let me try the business major. And when going through that, I learned different things about business from my professors and things like that. But a lot of my professors didn't really have the like skills or knowledge that I wanted because they've never run a business. So I was actually inspired by one of my accounting teachers when I was in college, and he actually had a 7-figure business. And I would listen to everything that he would say. All the students in the class would listen to every word and write down stuff because it was actually like useful. And he would go on these tangents and talk about how, just talk about the business and like not even talk about accounting at this point. And it was really cool. And I enjoyed that class a lot more than most of them. And but what was happening ultimately in college was I was so interested in so many other things that I was getting good grades and I was fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I was just not paying attention as much and just found myself researching things online of stuff I actually wanted to learn rather than whatever was happening in the classroom. So it got to the point to where, I was spending the majority of the time on my laptop on my phone in class, not even really, paying attention to what the teacher was saying. And after that, I had people in my life that kind of, I guess, convinced me, because I was complaining all the time, being like, I don't want to be in class. I'm not really learning stuff I really care about. It seems like a waste of time. And I was working at the time as well. So I was like, okay, these people helped me like realize, okay, I can stop college and I can, go work and kind of figure it out. So then I stopped college, went into work. And then what happened at work was I was a manager of a retail location. And when I would try and put things in place to try and improve my store quality with acquiring more customers or making processes more efficient, the protocol that my managers were following, even though they said those are good ideas, we can't do that just because that's not what the protocol is. And I'm like, but it's a good idea and it's making the store better. And they said, well, that's too bad, right? So what ended up happening was I left that as well. I was just fully on my own. I had nothing. And I realized, maybe I should pick something that I actually like to do. So I started thinking about when I was younger, what did I like to do? And I really always loved like media and kind of like psychology and how people work and all these things. So I stumbled upon like, okay, I used to make websites and take photos and make videos and things like that. So then like, why don't I get into something like that? So I ended up finding some clients for free to do their ads and websites and things like that. And I just kind of like learned along the way all the stuff that I didn't know at the time. And I had clients that I worked with for free for about 9 months. And, if you hear people talk about, oh, work for free, usually they do it for like a month or two. I did it for 9 months to make sure that I could like fully get results and like understand those clients' businesses to their core. And it all had the same kind of problem that was coming up over and over again of they needed leads, they needed something, or they needed like traffic to get, attention. They needed something to convert the traffic, and then they need help kind of on the back end to try and like close any leads that they get. So that problem just kept coming up over and over again because I was handling everything, and it was kind of stressful. But after those 9 months, I finally asked my clients, I was like, hey, so I've been working with you guys for a while now. I feel pretty confident in everything. Can we go ahead and set up a paid agreement? And they're like, yeah, of course. Like, why didn't you ask earlier? Because we're getting a bunch of results from what you're doing. And I was like, oh, well, didn't even really think to ask until this point. So it was good to hear. But then I started getting, paid from those clients, and then have just grown ever since and learned. I keep on learning more and more. But I really like psychology and how people work and just marketing in general, because I think it's a huge facet of growing a business. Because if no one knows about your business, you're not getting attention, you're not getting sales, then your business is declining. Revenue is like oxygen, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my origin story for that. And now I'm just growing my business even more and trying to get into different ventures and endeavors and all that type of stuff.
Nice. So, I mean, there's a lot in that story. I mean, it's really funny because I took business classes in college too. I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I gave it to one of them to read, and he came back and was like, yeah, business doesn't work like that. And I was like, that's funny because you don't have a business. A year later, I was making about 300,000 a year in my business, and he took me to lunch. He was like, he told me I couldn't do it. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Right. And then he's like, how'd you do that? I was like, you're the business professor. Like, your theory is all great, but if you're not doing it, you're not doing it. It's awesome that you had a professor that actually had a business. And of course, everybody listened to him because he's got real world knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. It's probably very well versed. The other thing that I want to call out is working for free. So I think that is where everybody has to start. They always say, like, don't work for free. No, you should go work for free, get results, make sure that the person that you're helping understands that you're doing it for free for a set amount of time in order to get results, in order to get testimonials. I mean, that is definitely a way to go. And in your case, if you're working for a professional service provider of some kind and they see results, they will be more than happy to pay you, because that's their lifeblood. They're in the business of doing their thing. If they're a lawyer and they're in the business of being a lawyer, they don't want to mess with the marketing. If they're a dentist, they don't know anything about marketing. They want somebody who can handle that. I know several people that we've interviewed across our 100+ episodes have said the exact same thing. That's how I got started way back in the day. Somebody wanted to hold an event, and I had held a couple events for myself. And I said, yes, we'll hold an event for you for free. I just want a split on the back end if that works for you. That way I'm invested. And that took off running. I mean, that's how you work. And if you're not willing to do that, then I would question how badly you really want a business. So let's talk a little bit about business development, because the thing that I think is really interesting about what you do is you handle not just getting the leads, but how to close the leads, how to train their staff. You build a course that actually walks your client's team through how to close, how to service customers. Where did that come from? Like, because I'm guessing you just started with ads, and then once ads started going, you ran into the problem of leads not closing. But how do you make sure the leads close, make sure that your customers are happy?
Yeah, it's funny. My business has come from just trying to solve problems as they come. And it really just started with ads and posting on their social media, and then organic reach dipped and all these different things. So then ads became infinitely more important, obviously. And then what I realized was, okay, I was sending Facebook and Google and Instagram, YouTube ad traffic to websites, and then these websites weren't converting. So then I was like, okay, like I've defined the problem now. Now I need to help with the websites to make sure that they're converting and they're good. So then I did that. Then I realized, okay, the leads will be converted from the traffic, but then all of a sudden the business owner doesn't have the time to follow up with them, or there needs to be a quick, like, automated system via email and text to follow up with the leads. Then put that in place. Then when I realized, okay, when they actually get on the phone with the leads, they need to understand how to close them because their closing rate was too low or whatever it was. Got to solve that problem. So it's just one of those things where each problem that comes up, I've just decided, okay, I'm going to take this on. I realized that even though it's not completely my fault, I'm going to act like it's my fault and my responsibility to try and help them with whatever problem in the system that it's having. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's, I
So,
mean,
yeah, it just really comes down to that. And then as far as even training them on like sales stuff, you have to make it extremely simple, you know? So I really just think about when you're on a sales call, it just comes down to like discovery questions and handling objections and then like closing statements. So that's pretty much what I teach them.
do you get, I mean, what does the average business that you work with, how much do they grow due to just having those systems in place? Because I know from working with chiropractors, from working with dentists, and from working with med spas, most of them don't do any of those things well. They get a bunch of inbound leads. They don't even answer the phone half the time or respond to the emails. Like, what kind of results are you seeing for customers that you work with?
I mean, it depends on obviously the industry and their profit margins and all that type of stuff, but usually like minimum like 3x ROI is kind of like the average because like at minimum, like I'll even talk about one client I had. This is not typical results, but it was a B2B technology company. They had a service that was roughly $250,000 to $2 million in per year in revenue that they would sell to enterprise clients. And they were basically getting leads on LinkedIn and all that. And then when the leads would come in, sorry, excuse me. Hopefully we can cut that out. Sorry. So they would sell the leads that came in, and then they would just get like a 27, 28x ROI on the leads that were coming from LinkedIn just because their profit margin was so high. So that's not typical, but somewhere around 3x ROI is like a pretty good number, 3, 4, 5, like around that, because the traffic that's coming in, you have to make a compelling offer in the first place. Then the landing pages in like where the leads actually convert, that has to be compelling as well. Then the text message and email follow-up campaigns have to be educational enough to make their clients trust them enough to actually get on the phone with them. Then when they get on the phone, again, they have to know how to close and all that. So it's a whole process, but I would say the results are better than most people or most agencies that would just do ads because they're not really helping with like the whole system.
Well, that is the thing, right? I mean, so many agencies, one, that maybe the ads they run aren't even that great, but then they get the ads dialed in somewhat, so they start getting leads, but then the business doesn't know how to close leads, doesn't know how to move forward with that. Also, you're talking about text. So text is becoming more and more popular. I would love to, do you have any numbers that you can share around text as far as like how much does that up conversion? How much does that up engagement? What's the average ROI for text? Like it's kind of a hot button right now. I know a lot of people are talking about it. We use it in webinars to drive people to the webinar, to drive people back. We use it to just drop curiosity hooks on people, but some people really don't want to use it. So I'd love to hear kind of your insights into the text game.
Yeah. So like with text message, I've seen crazy like open rates, at least. You know what I mean? So as far as like email open rates goes, you know, typical is what, like 20% or something like that. Now text message open rates are like 70, 80%. So like obviously your conversions are going to go through the roof for that. Again, it ranges depending on like whatever industry and stuff. But most of the time, because, you know, everybody's clenching their phones 24/7, they always have it on them. It's a tool that you can use to communicate with them at any time, anywhere, rather than, you know, some people only check their email a couple times a day. They have so many emails in there that it's just too crazy to even go through. But text messages, people most likely open all their text messages. So for me, it's been really good to see clients using that because they can create also a two-way channel that's very quick. So when they send out these text messages, these people can respond and say, hey, like I have a question about this. And with our backend system, they can basically respond to text messages right there. And it's not even like directly from a phone, it's from like their computer.
Dashboard.
So it just makes it easier to communicate.
Nice. Have you gotten any, something that I heard back when I had the agency, which we shut it down in 2017, was my staff will never do that. Have you ever run into any issues with clients having their staff, there's no way I'll be able to answer all the texts, or there's no way I'll be able to use that script on the phone? Have you ever heard any of that stuff, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I've heard about like, oh, we won't have the time to do that. And my response usually is just like, how bad do you want to grow your business then? Because like, I mean, like I don't typically work with business owners that have, kind of, I guess, just to put it bluntly, excuses like that. Like it's kind of just like, do you want to grow it, or do you believe in it or not? Because there's an element of, okay, if you don't believe that text messages will work, then okay, like I'll help educate you to figure out, or help you figure out why it'll work for your business. But ultimately, that like communicating with your leads more is going to convert more people into customers. So like, what's the issue? You know what I mean? So with that, the script thing I've heard more, right? Because they're like, oh, I don't want to be salesy or anything like that on the phone. And it's like, okay, the way that we do it, we're not being salesy. It's basically asking questions that you can uncover what their prospects' true problems are, and then talk about that with them and really be open and honest, and then have closing statements and objection handlers to that are all ethical and with integrity. So we've kind of heard that thing, of like, oh, we don't want to be salesy and stuff like that, or oh, we don't have time for keeping up with all this type of stuff. But I just basically say, like, you have to make time, or like, I mean, your competitors are already making the time to follow up with the leads and do better and create better landing pages and create better advertisements, have more compelling offers, use better scripts with their clients. So like, do you want to keep up with them, or do you want to be left behind? That's kind of my thing.
Nice. So if people wanted to learn more about your agency, if they wanted to talk to somebody about what you could do for them, because I know there are probably some people listening that are like, I could definitely use that. How can they get in touch with you? Do you have any resources to share?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel, podcast, all that type of stuff. It's just Eric Rebelo. You can go to my website, ericrebelo.com. There's a form on there. You can schedule, or, fill out a form to speak with me. And I'll be straightforward and honest with you. If I can help you, if we can't help you, if for whatever reason we're not a good fit, I can point you to resources and things that can help you. Next year, I am coming out with some additional resources. Like I do want to come out with a book that basically explains our philosophy. And if, someone quite isn't at that revenue level to like afford us yet, then I can give them the book, and hopefully they can do something for themselves and then come back to us. But yeah, just Eric Rebelo.
Nice. Awesome. So the last question that I'll finish up with is, what is one mistake that high value service-based business owners are making that you see over and over again, that you think is something easy to fix, something that they could correct, but maybe they've got a blind spot to it? What is something that you see as a challenge that they have?
So I'll give a more personal development answer, and then I'll give them a business answer. So the personal development answer is, I think most people could improve on the clarity and consistency of their goals. So being even clear on what they want in the first place. Like, it's okay to say that you only want to make $5 million a year instead of $10 million a year. If that's really your goal, then that's your goal. There's nothing wrong with it, right? So get clear on what you actually want, and also being able to like increase your goal. Also, like, if people say, oh, like, my business has been stuck at 5 million a year, it's like, well, okay, why can't you get to 10? Like break sorry. Just break those beliefs, to be able to get to that higher number. And then consistency, it's much better to do something every day for a little bit of time than to do something once a week for like a longer period of time. That's what I've noticed, is like humans are just much better at being consistent in that way. And you actually get more done. So there's that. The business answer, I can't really give like an easy fix, but what I will say is a lot of business owners focus on the one thing to fix the problem. And if you can just really accept that it's not just one thing, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult than like what you think, that's okay. Business is about overcoming adversity, and whoever can overcome adversity and give the most value to their clients, right, is the one who wins. So be strong and realize that you have to get a compelling offer in your ads and push it out into the marketplace. You have to have resources and things that people can come to and be attracted to convert them into people that are interested in your service. Then you have to follow up with those people and educate them on your service. Then when you actually get more, because you have to realize there's so much noise and stimulus in the market that you have to cut through all of that. And when you finally get on the phone with someone, it's the last mile to really be like, okay, you trust my system, whatever your service provides, right? And you trust our company. We have case studies and testimonials, all these different things, and then just guiding them to working with you. So it's like, it's a whole process. If you don't have that whole process, ultimately it's going to be really tough for you to scale and in the future and right now, because everything is getting more difficult, or it's not, it's getting more difficult, but it's more like things are changing, and you just have to rise to the occasion and do all the things that are necessary, or you'll fall behind.
That is really it. Like, you have to be willing to do all the different things. It's really funny. I'm a student of history. Like, looking back 25 years ago, if you had a website in the beginning, 99, 98, like, you were way ahead of the curve. No one was even looking for it. Like, you were way ahead, but you could, like, that grew your business. But then that became normal place, and you had to go a step further. You had to have a mobile website, then you had to have an app, then you had to have, like, and we're adding that. And the thing is that if you want to be successful in business, you have to be able to compete on that level, which means you need to do things. It's not as easy as it used to be, unfortunately, but if you're an action taker and you're somebody who follows through and does things, you'll be very successful.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for sharing all of your knowledge with us, Eric. It was really cool to hear your journey and hear about how you serve people. We'll make sure, if you guys want to connect with Eric, all of his links will be in the show notes underneath this episode. Just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And you had good questions. I really liked it. So yeah, and leave your favorite moment or favorite piece of information, I guess, in the comments as well. I'm really interested to know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. And to everybody else out there, until next time, take action, change lives, and make money. We'll see you soon. Thanks for checking out today's show. Do you want the fast and easy Cliff Notes version of the actionable steps from today's episode? If so, go to actionbullets.com and download yours today. Also, if you're looking to start using story selling in your business and have stories do 90% of the hard work for you, grab my free course at storyselling.how today. Till next time, take action, change lives, and make money. We'll see you soon.